This is a brief overview of the Frontline LPAC meeting. We're going to break it up into three parts: the before, during, and after. So before the LPAC meeting, we want to do four things. We want to ensure that students are in LPAC student records, which is the Frontline database. If not, we will need to be bringing them in from our whole school database, which is on eSchool, that need to be imported in. We're going to also then, once we have all of our students in student records, we want to create and schedule the meeting. And then we want to go ahead and create the meeting roster, which is going to be adding our students and also adding our LPAC representative meeting attendees. And finally, we'll add the student information that we'll need in order to be able to have the meeting. So before the meeting, we want to go to the LPAC menu and choose LPAC student records, which is again the Frontline student database. We want to ensure that students are in this LPAC student records. So we search for the student using local ID. You could also use any of the various filters that are available. If the student is on the list, the student's ready to be added to the meeting roster. However, if the student is not on the list, then we're going to have to choose Add Student to import the student into the Frontline Student Records database. Once you choose Add Student, you're then going to search for the student using the local ID. And when the student comes up, you're going to click on the small blue Add button with the green cross. Now, when we've got all of our students in LPAC student records, we're now going to go ahead and create and schedule the meeting, part 2. To do that, we're going to choose LPAC and then LPAC meeting manager. I'm going to choose new LPAC meeting. For meeting ID, choose a descriptive and easily identifiable name to title your meeting. For reason for meeting, choose the type of LPAC meeting. For the initial placement meeting, choose placement initial. For the monitors meeting, choose monitoring of students. For the accommodations meeting, choose monitoring of students also. For campus, make sure to click on the drop-down and choose your campus. Do not leave it blank. Choose the date of the meeting and scheduled for status. Choose save or save and open. In this case, we chose save and open so that we can see the list of our meetings, and then we can identify and see that the meeting that we just created is now appearing in the list of LPAC meetings. Choose manage to open up the meeting. We're going to go ahead and add students to the meeting roster by clicking on the plus students button in the center. Search for the student by local ID, check the box, and choose add to roster. Choose add more students or return to roster if you're done adding students. We're going to then add our attendees by clicking on the attendees tab. These will be our LPAC representatives, minimum of 3, the teacher, the ESL teacher, the parent representative, and the administrator. Then click on the attendees button. Once you add all of the students and all of the attendees, click on apply meeting info. Click on the meeting roster tab and click on the first student name to open the student record and begin adding student information. For the first student, you'll need to choose the appropriate FERPA reason. Since the reason for meeting provided previously was monitoring of students, the system defaults to screen 7, monitoring of students. If the reason for meeting provided previously was placement initial, then the system's going to default to screen 6, LPAC placement initial. Return to screen 7, LPAC monitoring of students, if this LPAC meeting is for monitoring of students, to enter the student information, or else if this is a placement initial meeting, then go to screen 6. Enter the information that is required to execute the meeting to either report on the progress of the monitored students, add review accommodations, or determine initial placement. The school class schedule 6-week option will allow you to access or edit the students' grades that will be utilized to report on their progress. When you click on assessment results, the information should have been imported from eSchool. At this point, it looks like it is there. When you click on school class schedule 6 weeks, the information should also be imported from eSchool. But if it is not imported prior to the meeting, it will need to be manually entered. To do that, click on add school class schedule 6 week. Enter the course, teacher, and first grading cycle grade, and then repeat this process for each course. If a student is not making progress and requires interventions, document that by clicking on Add Select Interventions. If the LPAC meeting is for instructional accommodations, click on the blue arrow in a blue box right below School Class Schedule 6-week button that reads Go to EL Instructional Accommodations screen. Click on Accommodations and a pop-up window will open. Choose New in the new pop-up window to add accommodations. Hold down the Control or Command key to select more than one accommodation. and select the subjects and click Save. The list of accommodations are now displayed, and you can choose Edit to make any changes. If the LPAC meeting is for an initial placement, go to screen 6, LPAC Placement Initial. Go to the assessment results for lost link scores. If the student is DNQ based on previous LEP history, go to screen 5, LPAC Student History 3 of 3 to add in an entry and document that information. If the student qualifies for ESL, click on LPAC Recommendation to add the initial placement recommendation. From the list of templates, choose ESL K-12 Pullout. Some information is populated with the template option. Recommendation date is the date of the LPAC. Effective date is the date parent permission is obtained. The meeting will remain in pending status until parent permission is obtained. The bottom parent permission portion is completed. Click Save. If the student does not qualify for ESL, ensure that either test scores or student history information is documented. No LPAC recommendation is included if a student does not qualify. Once all information has been entered to make the necessary decisions, recommendations, placements, etc., you're now ready to have the meeting. During the meeting, we're going to access the student roster. We're going to review student progress information and obtain signatures. After entering the student information, we're going to return to screen 7, LPAC Monitoring of Students, to review each student's progress during the meeting. Review the student's assessment results and current grades and report on progress. Click on Next Student to proceed to the next student until you get to the last student. Once you get to the last student, return to the meeting roster to collect signatures. Obtain the signatures of each LPAC representative. Make sure to click on Apply Meeting Info to add the signatures to each student's report file. And after the meeting, so I'm going to go back here just for a little bit, because this is the monitoring of students, so we would be reviewing the students' grades information. But if this was an initial LPAC, then we would be reviewing the student status and whether they qualified or did not qualify for ESL. So it'd just be a little bit different, and that will happen on screen 6, the LPAC initial placement screen. So after the meeting, we're going to go ahead and generate a meeting summary report. We're going to generate individual student reports, and we're going to archive and complete this meeting. So first, we want to go to Admin LPAC Reports. So return to the meeting roster and click on Admin LPAC Reports button on the right. We're going to choose the LPAC Monitoring Agenda Meeting Summary Report option for the Monitors Accommodations LPAC, or the LPAC Placement Initial Agenda Meeting Summary Report for the Initial Placement LPAC. Choose the LPAC Monitoring Agenda Meeting Summary Report option and click on the Create button. On the pop-up screen drop-down menu, choose View Prepared Reports. Choose the View option to open up a PDF copy of the report that you can save and or print. Confirm that the LPAC representative signatures are on this report before proceeding to run the individual student reports. Return to the meeting roster, and on the drop-down menu on the top left above the first student, choose the Batch Print Archive All Students option. Choose the LPAC Monitoring of Students report or the LPAC Placement Initial Assessment Results and click Create. Click OK to confirm if the information is correct. For the Accommodations LPAC, you will repeat this process to create a second report. After creating the LPAC Monitoring of Students report, choose the LPAC EL Instructional Accommodations Most Recent and click Create. Click OK to confirm if the information is correct. On the pop-up screen drop-down menu, choose View Prepared Reports. Choose View to open up a PDF copy of the individual student report that you can save and or print. After obtaining all of the parent permission signatures, documents, and all of the information has been updated, return to the meeting roster. On the drop-down menu on the top left above the first student, choose the Batch Print Archive All Students option. Click on Auto Archive. And then choose LPAC Progress Monitoring. If this was an initial placement meeting, we would be choosing LPAC Initial Placement for type of archive, and then LPAC 2223 for the archive folder. To confirm that the documents were placed in the student's archive folder, return to the main menu and choose Archive and then Archive Manager. Search for the student using ID or any of the other available filters. Confirm that the archive reports are in the LPAC 2223 folder. Once the archive is complete, you can now change the meeting status to completed. If you'd like more information on the Frontline LPAC process, you can visit our support website at bit.ly/LPAC 2023.